Citizens' comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Comments about any of the agenda items are appreciated by the board of directors and may be taken into consideration at this time or during that agenda item. Please complete a public input form if you desire to address the board. All remarks and questions addressed to the board should be addressed to the board as a whole and not to any individual member thereof. Maggie Hernandez.
Good evening. So I'm here to express great concern for the future of this community that I've lived in, paid taxes in, and called home for 11 and a half years. Item 3 on the agenda states that we've accepted the resignation of our general manager. I can only assume that someone with his track record of dedication to this district is leaving it because of harassment and unethical behavior by some of our board members. It's abundantly clear by the blank stares, some of the discussions that I've heard that while watching some of the meetings that some of you have no clue what's happening or how to run your water district. You don't even know how much you don't know, but you're letting your egos inflated egos run the show. You behave so poorly, you've pushed out yet another of the knowledgeable and experienced people that you desperately need to be relying on. I shudder to think who might leave next. Did it ever occur to you that some of the people who serve multiple water districts do so because there's a lack of qualified and knowledgeable candidates? What are you going to do now? Who is going to want to work for you? And what are you doing? So many of the residents here haven't been here long enough to remember what it was like when we had police service from Denton County sheriffs, massive budget deficits, and constant water issues over in Artesia. Constant. Arrowbrook was even built after all of that was resolved. I do. I've been here long enough that I remember that. And if you guys fail, that's what we're going back to. So I'll personally hold each of you accountable for any more losses of our staff members. First Regina and now Rob. And apparently I have just learned that Greg also resigned. Without Rob's expertise, you're going to run Elmridge into the ground. And I'll make sure that everyone in our community knows who's responsible for those failures. Any future tax increases, budget deficits, overspending issues, water issues, outstanding or botched infrastructure repairs, and any losses of our valuable police officers that will result in increased crime. You're putting Elmridge homeowners' equity at stake. Your job is to serve the Elmridge residents. You're in positions of great responsibility. It is time to act like it or resign before you cause any further damage.
Thank you. I've got one more that was emailed in. Are there any more from the crowd? I'll read this one. It's from Monica Barlow. I would like to request that the Elmridge Board conducts a fixed assets audit to account for all fixed assets that have been paid for using district funds and ensure that they are all within Elmridge's possession and not within the possession of any individual personal property. This will be essential to give the board a more in-depth understanding of what assets they have to avoid any unnecessary spending. Thank you, Ms. Barlow. For there's more comments. Got a motion to close public comments.
Let's make the motion.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any interest? Item 2. Approve proposal for IT software and technology equipment and audiovisual system for the new district admin building.
Good evening, directors. You all should have a hard copy of the proposal, and there's also one on OneDrive if you want to do electronic. And Jonathan, I gave you a extra copy too.
Yes, thanks, sir.
So first thing, this is, as it says, Granicus, that's Swagit as well, you know. Granicus has merged, bought out Swagit, so they're kind of one and the same now. So as we originally talked about Swagit, it's going to transition into Granicus. So that's with the name change, so you're aware of that. Originally, the plan was this evening to go ahead and I'm going to go through this whole proposal and what it is and what we're doing. The one thing I'm going to request maybe amend is that we do not do approval this evening. There's some more stuff that we need to get together, and I'm going to see if we can put it on the next agenda item for the next meeting. So just so you all know that it's not, I'm not requesting any, we'll make that change of any approval this evening for this. So with that, basically this is going to be the camera system that is going to be in the chamber area of the new building. So everything in here is the quote. And again, if you go through and add up all the numbers, Price wise, you're looking at in the ballpark of about $91,514. That is year one cost, installation, and maintenance. That includes all the hardware, equipment, rack, everything turnkey for that system. We've worked on the communications committee the last couple of months, putting all this stuff together. Director Story, Director Bowling have been on those community meetings, so they've got a lot of this information as well. We did some pricing of other companies to look at. One of the other competitors we looked at and just doing verbal quotes with them, they were between 150 and 200,000 just to start without even getting deep into the weeds with them. One of the things that also came up in the communications meeting, Megan, in one of the districts that she works with, they're doing a retrofit of their current system. And to get a kind of a pricing, because they already had everything in place, they're just upgrading hardware and software basically. And they were in the ballpark of 70,000 just to do an upgrade. So kind of give you an idea of where we're at. This quote is DIR pricing. So it is competitive pricing anyways, but we want to do the due diligence to kind of reach out and see what, other entities are doing. As far as installation goes, like I said, everything's turnkey on this quote. Some of the communication committee earlier got a little bit higher quote. Some of the things that we look at doing in the future are maybe doing a live streaming, whether it be to YouTube or Facebook. We kind of decided to be more cost effective with the dollars. That out of the gate, we would just stick with how we do here with the post meetings. And then if there was, we're going to get the hardware that allows us to do that. One of the things we looked at was there's two sets of hardware, one that allows for that live streaming, one that doesn't. We could save a little bit more money on this, not getting that equipment out of the gate. But then if we did that, we were going to pay almost twice as much to retrofit that equipment. So we figured it was better off to spend a little bit extra on the front end to then allow for the future of the, community directors, whoever want to do a live stream type setup, closed caption, all that. It's really just a licensing at that point instead of having to replace all the hardware. So as you look through this, and you'll have a little bit more time as well, some of the pricing, or you'll notice some of the hardware in there allows for more features. We're not turning it on to save it. The original quote, when we asked for everything out of the gate, just so we could have a starting point, was just over 130,000. So we shaved it down to the 91,514 for year one. If you turn to page 7, apologize. I'm sorry, page 4. Page 4 lists the year 2, year 3. That is for your maintenance of the hardware and software. We went ahead and put that in as well, so we could kind of predetermine what the budgets are going to be for year 2, year 3. With that, they'll reduce it about 7%, give or take, if we do a committal to say we don't have to pay it all up front year 1, but if we commit to year 2 and year 3 with them, it's about a 7% savings. They've been tracking between 8 and 10% increases every year in their software. So if there is a large, I say large savings, it's 8%, 7-8%, and we know we're going to keep the equipment. Again, upon approval of everything, when we get to that point, all that's due up front is year 1. And then you just have a promise to pay for year 2, year 3. So then we can actually budget those in for year 2 and year 3. But knowing with that budget, there's, at least a 7% savings, minus whatever the increase is. So we did look at that stuff too to see where we could, save the most money since we are going with that system. Other than that, the only other thing we're going to kind of keep the same with this pricing or with this project, once everything's recorded, we're going to keep Megan and Company as far as them putting the actual video onto the website and YouTube and all that stuff. So we're going to leave that in play because they already have a process in place. So there's no sense changing what we're already doing. It works, it flows. So that's pretty much everything we have there. The biggest thing is we got to work out some of the budgetary stuff. So we wanted to, that was the reason for the change this evening. Instead of asking for approval this week, we're going to table that part of the ask and just put it on the next agenda, and then we'll get some of that stuff worked out prior to that, if that's okay with you guys.
I did have a question. Thought we were under a tight deadline to get this approved. So is that our case?
We are under a tight deadline, but in talking with Director Bowling today and Jonathan, the things that came up budgetarily, we wanted to get all that worked out so that we were fully transparent with everything. that there's not any changes after some stuff that we didn't get until late today. So we felt more comfortable delaying it. It was better to delay it 3 weeks, to be fully transparent with everything and make sure everything's good to go and there's no surprises or anything like that. We felt that was the better ask than to say approve this and oh, by the way, we forgot this, and so it was kind of a last minute decision.
Well, this doesn't bind us up on that though, does it?
Not in that manner. I mean, we've got plenty of other stuff to do. It's going to be close, and don't get me wrong, it will be close. And yes, we were wanting to get it done, to get everything moving, and that's a push. But we also want everything across the board to be smooth with it too. That's been kind of one of the things that was a decision, is that you want to be transparent with stuff and make sure everything's there and out. So
I think the key is we're just gonna have to make sure that we're working with Swaggit and Crosslands at the end, just to make sure. It's better for us to put the time in up front and make sure we have everything right, and then work with Crossland and Swaggit on the back end to make sure we meet our timelines. And then it is to have to come back and say, hey, we missed something.
Yeah, agree.
Okay.
And it says the quote expires on November 13th. Are we able to get that?
yes, he said, I talked to Josh, he did the quote on this. He's happy to extend it. It's just a matter of changing the date on it. That's pretty customary for them.
So what exactly are we waiting for though? I'm not clear on that.
We just gotta clear up, well, I asked Aaron to look into a few things as far as the budget with Swaggit. And then I want to check out and make sure where our lines match up on the budget as far as our line items in the budget, and make sure that everything lines up correctly with what Swaggit's got, and see if we can sharpen the pencil a little bit more there as well.
Oh, okay. Good.
One question I had for the proposal is the extended warranty. How long is that for?
That's the yearly. So year one covers first year. And then each year when you renew, that covers all the hardware, software, maintenance. Your maintenance cost covers that. So it's basically annual. So if you don't renew, then there's no maintenance after year one. And that is an option. If you decide we're not going to pay for maintenance, then you get no maintenance on hardware and software after year one. So it's an annual renewal. And again, we only run out 3 years. If y'all want to go further and get prices further, 5 years is usually the most customary. If y'all like that, I'm happy to go back and ask for that as well. We just went with 3.
I would definitely just ask, just to throw it on there for the next time, just to kind of compare the two. And then my other question was, what's the reasoning behind 3 cameras?
They have a minimum of 3 cameras.
Okay.
Yeah, we've actually spec'd hardware, or I should say hardware, infrastructure wise, because you only get one shot in that storm shelter. You can't go back and add stuff. We're actually putting placement in specking for 4,
Okay.
because we know we shouldn't go beyond 4.
Yeah.
But because you have to put boxes in, conduit, and get everything back and drill through the concrete walls, we're actually on the drawings. We've already spec'd to put in 4 slated spots. That way in the future we're covered. If something goes wrong with one leg of it, you can move it over to the other side. We're pre-planning all that stuff as well. But the 3 is Swaggit Granicus has a minimum 3 camera order. You cannot do any less than that. So
Cameras just on Jonathan, right?
yes, it's right.
And I think, with if you are live streaming, there's requirements on what the public has to be able to see, which includes the board, the audience. And so if you see like on city council meetings, they'll have different, different setups. And that's another reason why we are considering doing live streaming at some point, that it'll be good to have those already there for that.
Perfect.
And one of the other things that I forgot to mention too is in the quote, there's a 15 meeting limitation. I say, if you go over 15 minutes, then there's an additional cost to bump up. The next jump is 25 meetings. So it was a little bit of an increase. We're hoping we're going to be okay. Obviously, year one, we're going to be fine with 15 meetings. We'll kind of look at that year 2 when it comes to budget time. We have the price of what it's going to be for 25 meetings. So we can kind of work that in as kind of an earmark, is if you stay at 15, it's this month for budget times. If you go over, then it's going to be, you're going to have to buy the 15 or the 25 meeting license. That'll be more topics when it gets into budget for the 25, 26, or 26 budget year. We'll make sure we get that on the paper too, to go, hey, we're going to budget for 15 again. If we approve all this stuff, if you go over, this is your additional cost, and you'll have to do some sort of adjustment on. So y'all would be aware of that. We tried to think of all the stuff that would, the gotchas.
Yeah.
So, and give you all the information.
Feels like a lot of work went into this plan.
Yes, it was a team effort. And there was all of us, Felicia included, because she started a lot of the research on.
So I get,
Yes. So.
all right. So no action.
No, not tonight.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Three.
Yeah, Mr. President, I would recommend that for items 3 and 4, we go into executive session under 551 074, and then also under 071 072.
Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Right. Do I have a motion to come out of executive session?
I'll make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, Mr. President, on item 3, is there a motion to accept the resignation of the district general manager?
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of the district GM.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right,
Motion passes.
all right. Item 4, procedure for advertisement and hiring a new general manager. So I think the first motion that the board wants to make is to appoint Keith and Scott to a committee to develop a scope and post notice of the job opening for the general manager position.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
So second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And then the other motion is to start a committee and appoint Mike and Felicia in order to handle the hiring procedures and process for the current admin positions that are open. Admin and maintenance, I'm sorry.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. Item 5, sir, discussion regarding an offer received for purchase of district property. Is there, I think, is there a motion to reject the offer and do not make a counter offer?
I'll make that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't particularly like that, so I just would throw in my comments as we did actually talk about it and wasn't in our best interest.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, and then future agenda items, the only thing I have is, just a regular meeting, which is going to be on the 21st. That's where the next meeting will be.
Do we need to make the building a agenda item?
Yeah, we can do that. We usually have the project manager's report, but we can add to that to make sure that we're addressing, the completion of the building.
Okay.
And I'm sure you have it, but the discussion on canvas, we should have something.
We'll have one. Oh, yes.
That it for the team? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.